Hello. This is actually take 3. So that could be relevant for someone. And I heard 3rd time's the charm. Yeah, so I have some things that I wrote down. I just had a fly go by my ear with like a really loud buzz. And I've been out sitting on this rock near a stream for quite a while, and I hadn't heard that. So yeah, that could be a message for someone as well. You may be having more like buzzing in your ear, like psychically and or physically. And so that could just be a confirmation for someone out there. As I was saying, the past few days, I've been kind of sitting with, oh, there goes the fly again. I've been sitting with this, these few pages that I made notes on, and it just didn't feel like the right time to record. And I finally felt like it was a good time. So here we go. I wrote down, like I said, actually I don't remember if I said it in this take or another, a couple different dreams that I had that felt significant to share. Whether it is the symbology of some of the things that happen in the dream, some of the interpretations that I have, or anything else that you intuitively connect with. You can use this information and sharing however you best receive it. And so if I make any like suggestions in terms of things that you could research, now an ant, a very big one, is crawling on my foot, my left foot. Now it's on my paper. And like I said, I've not here for a while, and the ant was kind of crawling around me. And now all of a sudden it just decided to pay me a visit on top of my body. So yeah. I looked down the timer and I saw 2:19 and then 2:22. So that could also be relevant for someone. I actually just want to feel into how this wants to come through, because the notes where I started to write them on the top, I'm actually not feeling guided to start there. So, okay, here we go. So, sometime last week I had this dream where I wrote it as the Tourmaline Dream. The Tourmaline Dream. I guess that kind of rhymes. And now I just heard, there's a little beetle on me. I just heard Fae energy, and as I heard that in my head, the little beetle came on my right arm. It's spreading its wings. I think it's about to take off. That could be for someone. It's like a tiny little black beetle. I think it's black. It literally looks like it's dancing. Anyway, I feel like I'm very distracted, so there could be some distractions going on right now, but I'm hearing they're not necessarily like, I feel like, at least for me, I associate the word distractions with more of like maybe a negative connotation. These kind of feel like exciting distractions in some form. So back to the dream of Tourmaline. There were multiple things happening. There was actually like layers in the dream. I think I was on some sort of ship, and I can't remember if it was a ship or a house, but it had multiple layers to it. And at one point, this black tourmaline that I had broke into a couple pieces, and I heard in the dream, mission complete. And I was like, and I just knew I was like kind of, I think, in the middle layer, and I had to go down to the ground level, and I was shown to like plant some of these tourmalines back into the earth, and then like the shards or the layers that broke off excuse me, and on each level I remember there were different people that I had been interacting with, and I hadn't gone up to the very top level yet. And as the black tourmaline, which, you know, can represent like really a great stone for transmuting some more like seemingly low, you know, negative energy, even though in this case I don't really want to say negative in terms of like the general term, but just really anything that pulls in your own energy field that kind of drains you or causes lethargy. Why am I saying it that way? Lethargy? In my head I heard it like 3 different ways for some reason. And yeah, I'm seeing like someone poking a hole in a balloon. I honestly, I saw a condom, so I don't know why I saw that, but I did. And then there's like water, you know, like spouting out of the holes. And so it's kind of like that in terms of energy field. So you might be working with tourmaline or being called to work with tourmaline, even if it's just energetically. Now I'm seeing like rainbow tourmaline. I know there's different colors, but in the dream it was black. So, oh yeah, so I just heard like, yeah, shedding the black. I don't even know what that means, but that's what I heard. So with that, there was like this disbursement that I just like intuitively knew to take these pieces of the tourmaline and put them back on the earth. And it was like, as I was doing that, I was like saying goodbye. You know, dreams are, I call it astral physics, astral, ASTRAL, in case it didn't come clear on the audio, where in dreams there's like very transcended boundaries that we have on this physical plane, and you know, things can happen in so many sometimes hard to explain via English words. And as I was interacting with these certain people, and then I heard, like I said earlier, I heard mission complete. I was like, okay, it's time now to like move on to the next cycle. And now the word mission, I know, can be very what's the word I'm looking for? It can feel so like, I'm on a mission, which is fine if that's how people associate with it. I suppose what I'm trying to say is, you know, if you're someone, I feel like this is for someone who kind of feels like they are put, my friend Lisa would always say, on assignment, and she would laugh at me because she's like, oh, I feel like that bothered, or I said something one day, like, I don't know, I never know what to call these things. So that's something that I'm working through in terms of like how to use the proper wording to explain these experiences and energetic imprints that come through. But it was essentially like mission complete, and then the certain people of the interactions, it's like this new cycle is starting, and that brings me to 1010. I've been seeing 1010 in the Wheel of Fortune, and the day I wrote this, I also saw 7777 and 144, like right in a row. I remember it was like boom, 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 and there's something about the Wheel of Fortune and tarot and completing this wheel, you know, like transcending this wheel and the cycle into this next phase. And so if you've been kind of feeling like you were on assignment or on mission of some sort, and I know like there's one reader on YouTube who always pulls a Rumi card, so if you listen to her, you'll know who she is. She's wonderful. And I was thinking of, like, there's a card, something like, when you are the light in the dark type of thing, you know that you are like serving that is some purpose. And I don't mean this in like an egotistical, that word is not the way I want to phrase this. I don't mean this in a like victor maybe someone's name is Victor, victim savior complex. This is like more of like a sovereign embodiment of knowing that maybe you can kind of feel the presence around you, and you have like Dan, if you've ever listened to someone named Dan Winter, he's a physics, basically like is bridging science and spirituality through physics, and he talks about you know, you're either parasitic in your auric field or your magnetic field, your Torus, Torus, Torus. Yes, Torus, not Taurus. Essentially meaning you supply your own energetic fuel, your own light. You tune in and you know how to amplify your own auric system. Or, you know, you're parasitic, meaning you receive your energy elsewhere that is not from within. And so when I speak in those terms, that is what I'm referring to in terms of like being the light in a situation. You truly know, you know, how to cultivate that from within, no matter what circumstances you're in. And so I just wanted to preface that because it felt really important. And yeah, the word centripetal, I have that written down as well, comes to mind, if I didn't already say it out loud, which is essentially, and I may have explained this in a different video, that Dan Winter was talking about when our auric field becomes centripetal, which is, you can think of it like your own personal tornado, and like each individual cell having its own tornado that spins in a clockwise direction, and eventually, you know, it becomes more cohesive, and the more you add awareness to this, in my personal belief, the more cultivation within will like come through or show up in your external reality. And I know it sounds like I'm going on a tangent, but it's actually weaving together so well. I kept kind of looking at the notes before I started, trying to see how I was going to structure this or framework it. And that's when I looked in the beginning at the top and was like, I'm not supposed to start at the top. I can feel it. It's going to flow so much better. And I just let my eyes drift and I found the Tourmaline Dream spot. And so that could be a message for someone too, if you're trying to like framework something or work something out in terms of a structure. I was actually just having a conversation with someone about this yesterday, about framework and structuring. It was in reference to writing stand-up jokes and comedy, so that could be for someone as well. And I'm hearing like, actually heard Venusian pulse, so that could be for someone. I'm not going to go into details about that at the moment, but I did hear the word pulse, you know, like I'm being taken to like the pulse of the earth and like slowing down into that slow pulse and allowing your eyes to focus. Like let's say you're writing, for example, and trying to do a framework, or this could apply to like different things, but for some reason I'm getting that example. There's something about like slowing down if you need to do some breathing, and like truly, if let's say you haven't written anything yet on the page, I'm seeing like to focus on something else by slowing down, and then as you start to write, just like free flow it out and then continue to come back to it and like let your eyes focus in different parts. And you can like, I'm seeing like little brackets, like bracket it off and then like reframe it from there, and try to go like from a flow with it. I'm not even sure what just came out of my mouth, so I hope that made sense for someone. And so back to the centripetal auric field becoming like your own personal clockwise Torus field. There's this connection, and I believe I did talk about this in another video, but it's coming up again, so I'm just going to flow with it. Another dream that I had, I believe it was the same night as the Tourmaline Dream, and I think it's going to kind of like circle back because I wasn't finished explaining the Tourmaline Dream, but I feel like it's connected. I have had lucid dreaming experiences off and on for a long time, and I'm someone who, like, I set intentions and I really try to let go of the detachment of like when something is going to happen, and just like I always say, what's for the highest good. And I felt like I hadn't had like an actual lucid dream in a little while, and I remember just like recently thinking, it's been a while, and then I kind of just let it go, and then right after that I had a lucid dream, and I was on this highway and I was in some sort of vehicle and I was going like so fast. But it was almost like a video game because I wasn't like, it didn't feel like I was just like, you know, sitting in a car and driving. It was like, feel like I was on a train, but it was like, yeah, it was very video game like. And like, I remember hearing someone explain Andromeda Galaxy, where like the incarnational hologram there is, oh, the ant is back. Now I'm hearing the ant people. They come through, and the Hopi. So there could be a connection there too. Where, and I just heard the word expansion. Yeah, in Andromeda Galaxy, there, I believe it was, his name is Luca, Source Light Star. If you ever listened to him, he's a reader on YouTube, and he was talking about his perception of Andromeda Galaxy, and I think I've heard this elsewhere as well, actually, where their hologram is like much less solid and physical than ours. So like they're instant, at least in a certain dimension of theirs, their like background, or you know, like I said, hologram is ever changing. So they can look at something and it's like morphing. It's like always shape shifting into different expressions according to the being who's perceiving it. And so that's kind of what this dream was like. And when I woke up, I was like, ooh, that was fun. And when I realized I was lucid dreaming, I was going really fast, like I said, on this, like, I was a part of this vehicle. And I said out loud in the dream, I'm lucid dreaming right now. And I was like, great, what do I need to know? And I just was like looking around at all the different backgrounds, and it was, the view was very like an urban city. But again, it was like kind of video game-ish. And I remember looking over at one of the signs on the road, and it started to change. And I said, okay, what do I need to know? And it said M3. I am still not exactly sure what that means, so that could be for someone, but it brought me back to, I also kind of bring this person up, Bob Frissell, who wrote Nothing in This Book is True, but It's Exactly What You Need to Hear, something like that. That book was just so, I definitely like quantum leaped in consciousness after reading that book, and I just find him so genuine. And I listened to the audiobook, and I'm bringing this up because he mentions V3, Vector 3. I'm not going to go any further, but if you feel called to look into that more, or if you already have, that could be just like a confirmation. And I'm seeing right now like 3 turquoise orbs like floating up from the water, but they're very like iridescent turquoise. I always associate when I see that frequency outside with the Fae for some reason. Now I'm seeing Wizard of Oz. Very tongue-tied. So there could be some throat awakenings and cellular DNA upgrades, especially in the form of communication. And like I'm hearing speaking more from the heart. So that like turquoise color. Oh, now I'm seeing a lot of light codes right now. Now I just saw like an ultra. Nope, I was going to say ultraviolet. I mean, I was going to say an iridescent yellow, but I said ultraviolet. So, oh, there's the violet. Now it popped in as soon as I said it. Yeah. And it looks kind of like, it actually looks like one of the emojis, the iridescent yellow one. It's like a yellow like streak with a star. That's what it kind of looked like, just for sake of visuals. And so in this lucid dream, that again could be relevant for someone. And the centripetal conversation I was talking about, according to Dan Winter, he says that the more centripetal your auric field is, the more likely you are to lucid dream. And so someone here could be having just an expansion in their magnetic field, in their aura, in their auric field. Lucid dreaming could be relevant. And so I'm pausing for one moment to look down at the paper. Oh, I actually had Andromeda written on the paper, which is funny because I did not remember that, and it came through anyway. So that feels like a nice confirmation. Yes, thank you. Okay, now I wrote, I had written down next mission, and I have mission in quotes. So for the reasons that I spoke on earlier. And so I have written under that galactic, cosmic being consciousness. So that could also be for someone as well. Yes, I remember now. I kept feeling this in certain scenarios, like there was just this being around me. Not in dream time, just in very normal places, seemingly normal. And I kept feeling it was very according to my standards, I'm 5 foot, so it felt very large, like over 8 feet, very thin and very elongated head, kind of like ultraviolet and very non-physical. And I couldn't quite see it. I could just feel, I felt it. And then when I meditated a couple times, I kind of saw an outline. And right after that, I listened to an online reading. I honestly can't remember who it was from. And they brought through, they're like, oh, there's this being around, and described it just like that. And I was like, oh, it was just such a nice confirmation. And so that could be for someone too. And I do feel a connection, like I said, to Andromeda galaxy. So that could be something. Back to the Tourmaline Dream. So after these tourmaline pieces were kind of planted back into the grass, and I kind of walked through this group of people that it felt like I was kind of saying goodbye to. And it doesn't have to be that dramatic, but it was kind of, like I said, just this opening into, I'm seeing 10 of Cups energy in tarot. I went to the highest point. I do think it was a ship, but we were docked or something on this ship house thing. And there were these people up there, and I am single. I'm not in a relationship, but in the dream, my husband was there, but I don't know who it was. I just said something, oh, I have to go get my husband. And all these people, it was I knew them in the dream, but I can't place their faces now. And everything was just so light and airy, and that's not to say, of course, and that there won't be any challenges or obstacles. What I mean is the idea of being your own source of light. It felt like these other people were also their own sources of light, and we could connect in together. And so I do feel like there's this reconnection of again this quote unquote mission that those of you who are drawn to this will be kind of shifting into that next, I heard portal, but yeah, shifting into that next phase, next cycle. Now I'm seeing the 0 point frequency, and so yeah. And I just heard fill in the blanks, so that could be just, whatever else you feel as you listen to this, to insert that for yourself. And there's some also feeling of not needing to run around and cut out people out of your life. I mean, unless you feel called to. This is more of a natural evolution to the next phase. And some people may just slowly fall out a little bit, or may not be as involved, or it could even just be old behaviors and patterns of yourself. This could be very multifaceted. You might even be having some new interdimensional or spirit connections coming in as well. I'm seeing a revolving door. I also noticed in people's videos and photographs, so I've noticed this before, and they've come through my own as well, these iridescent, maybe not so much iridescent, but pastel rainbow heliotalic, which is another word for pastel, light rays coming off of the sun. I see them, just when I'm walking for a long time now, but other people around me who generally are not noticing any of these things, I feel like it's been coming through their photographs or coming through their videos. And it was the reason why I'm bringing this up, because it felt like it was within a few days, multiple things and multiple people were sending me things or telling me to look at something, and I was oh, this is exciting. And I wrote down crystalline liquid light rays reality, and then underneath I wrote jewels. So if this is happening for you, whether it happened once, 10 times, it didn't happen yet and it soon does, I'm hearing like there's another layer of concentration to like tune into that crystalline liquid frequency of the heliotalic spectrum, the pastel. So you can think of it as like, you know, the ethereal aspect of our own sunlight, sun codes, the moon, the stars, anything in the natural world that gives off that light. And so I'm hearing there's a next level initiation and like a jewel waiting for you to kind of receive it. Because everyone perceives in their own way, you know, it might be clairvoyantly, it might be just when you're kind of staring heavily with your eyes open. It could be like I'm hearing the music of the spheres. It could be like sound. It could be multiple things. Yeah, so wherever you are, wherever your like singular point of consciousness is, there will be some sort of like crystalline liquid light ray jewel birthing through a new reality that sort of like allows you to tune in a bit more into, I'm hearing like a grounded phase. So it's like, yeah, this like new, and I'm saying new because that's just the way it's coming out. You know, like the new golden paradigm, which leads me to the top of my paper. I wrote down Jupiter Dream, Jupiter Initiates, All-Seeing Eye, Pineal, Lichue Lens, Aurora Time Spiral. And this kind of goes, interestingly enough, right under that is Tornado and Centripetal Implosion and Lucid Dream. So it's like the way I started on this paper, I wish I would have like shown this somehow. It almost like is coming full circle, kind of like a tornado, like spinning in and on itself. Yeah. So the Jupiter Dream I had a little while back, within the last couple months, and I had this dream where I was quite literally sitting on Jupiter, like one of the rings of Jupiter. And I wanted to like go inside the planet. And for some reason, I wasn't able to. And there was some sort of like bus stop. It was equivalent to a bus stop, like sitting at a bus stop, but obviously it wasn't a bus. It was like this little alcove right on one of the rings. And it was like the only place I could go. So I sat there and I was like, I guess I'm just gonna like be here forever. Like I'm not sure how I'm gonna leave this place. And somehow like a radio came in, like you know, like over I forget what they're called, but the things you click, detectives use them with the little curly wire. Sometimes when I'm channeling I cannot remember words. And so a radio came in and someone was like, oh, we gotta come pick you up. They were from Earth. And I was like, I'm not really ready to come back. And they were like, we know, but like, you know, we're gonna come pick you up, like it's time. And I was like, all right. And then boom, someone came and got me, and then I was back on Earth. And I was like, hold on, let me just like go look around a little bit. And they were like, yeah, not yet. But I got to observe Jupiter and it looked so beautiful. Of course, in this perspective of the astrophysics, it was not quite like when you see claymation, but almost like a diorama that like came to life, you know, like one of those things. And so it took me a little while to sit with that to see like why it was coming up. And I realized Anthroposophy kept coming up. And if you're someone who's interested in Anthroposophy or already is into that, you know, Rudolf Steiner's teachings, you'll probably have a leg up on what I'm about to say. If not, like Gigi Young is a wonderful resource. She does an amazing job explaining through her own voice Anthroposophy. It has helped me a lot, Anthroposophy. Of course, like any school of thought, it's not like my 100% source in anything, but I have utilized Anthroposophy in many ways to kind of understand different aspects of esoteric topics. So I will reference it here and there, just because it's a part of my research. But you know, there are some aspects to it that I felt like it narrowed a little bit for me, a little narrow, but like I said, there are still some, I think, like invaluable pieces of concepts that I like to incorporate. So I just wanted to give a little side note there. And new Jupiter is, from my understanding, equivalent, like when people say new Earth, like we're going into new Earth. In Anthroposophy, they call it new Jupiter. It's like a developmental epoch, like going into the next phase of evolution. And so when I was sitting at Jupiter, like waiting, you know, I wanted to go there. I was kind of in between. And it's like, so you might feel like you might be kind of embodying in some way this like next evolutionary golden paradigm. I keep hearing golden paradigm consciousness. And again, this is not from a perspective of, well, at least from my perspective, it's not to say anyone is better than anyone. It's just an initiation. So I wrote down Jupiter initiates, like I said, and the all-seeing eye kept coming up. So I often see eyes so many places. And when I say that, like I will look into the sky and like clouds will be shaped like an eye, or psychically, you know, I look up in the sky, I see a lot of light codes and they'll be shaped like an eye. I'll look into like a marble countertop and I feel like I see a bunch of eyes. Like it's just all the time. And so I asked, like, why am I seeing so many eyes? EYE. And of course the pineal gland, there can be many reasons, but for this specific transmission, what was coming through, so Magenta Pixie, she channels a collective called the Nine. And I actually wrote that down. And right after I asked that, she did a video about Jupiter and the all-seeing eye and the connection there. So if you want to go deeper with that, you can go look at her stuff if you haven't already. And I would like to go into that further, but I'm actually not being guided to at the moment, so I'm going to trust that. But my heart, like my heart space, just got very hot. Like my chest got extremely hot. I just heard like digging deep in the heart. So someone listening to this may be breaking some layers or walls around their heart space that have kind of been there, like, you know, for generations. Like you're doing some sort of like ancestral karmic breaking right now, or you just kind of like are completing that cycle. So if you're having some emotional, like, what kind of maybe feels like instability, although that's not quite the right word, just little outbursts, I'm actually hearing like look back into other cycles of your life and to see like how far you've come in terms of like allowing yourself to feel, and like maybe the reaction time of when you first started to notice and pay attention. Maybe you're someone who always has, but the idea here is that like there's some sort of evolution of, I keep hearing the reaction time. So let's say something upsets you. In the past, maybe it threw you off for 4 days and, you know, you were in this like whirlwind spin. But now I'm hearing it might be like 4 hours. You know, it's just an example. So give yourself a pat on the back, because not everyone has the like courage to sit with themselves and sharpen that awareness, dig into the depths. And so, yeah, I think that just kind of wanted to come through. The initiation, the Jupiter initiates, yeah. So the word samskara is coming up again. I believe I also spoke of that in another video. So working with the like internal spiritual technological initiations. So like the internal connections to evolution, not necessarily like an external process like through some sort of AI or something like that. This is more about like quite literally like the universe inside you stuff. And that is a lot of channels are coming up today on YouTube. So maybe someone here also listens to other people on YouTube, but that's another channel that is coming up, the universe inside you. See some things that I wrote down. And please, I am not a physician, so only take this if it feels good for you. But like some grounding foods may be very helpful right now, and by that, really just anything that makes you feel like in your body and makes you feel like nourished and a little bit comforted through this like transition, because this feels like I'm seeing like a waiting room, like those of us who feel like we are sitting outside of New Jupiter, sitting inside, outside, and no one's there yet. Well, welcome, because here we are. And yeah, there's something about that. I wrote down potatoes and bananas, lemon water. Oh, the neti pot. Someone here might be feeling called to use the neti pot. And I know if you're not familiar, really just make sure you do your research, because you cannot use like tap water or water that is not like purified, because it can get, it goes through your nostrils and into the brain. So just really make sure you do your due diligence there. I also wrote down mucus releasing. I actually went through a period where I was releasing so much, like very thick stuff. So if you're going through that, I feel like that was like kind of a collective thing. For some reason, the sternum came through, like behind, the chest. So that could be for someone, sternum. Oh, and I wrote down spinal care. I feel like really working with the spine right now. Stretching, even if it's just like a few micro movements a day, like really just feeling into your spine. And I wrote down Kundalini fire. So, oh, that's right. I was having this like sensation where my thumbs were just like so hot. It was just and that's when I wrote down Kundalini fire. Like they just felt like they were on fire. And for me, that's the fire element on the fingers, the thumbs. And that's when I went to the spine. So there could be some Kundalini movement. If you're listening to this, you've most likely had Kundalini awakenings, like more than one. So there could be, I just keep seeing the word movement. And my friend sent me a picture the other day of a huge black snake that he found on his land in New Jersey. So that could be like relevant for someone, any of those things I just said. New Jersey, snake, black snake. The snake obviously represents so many things spiritually. But I heard like healing, shedding, and like rise of feminine, rise of the divine of feminine. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. Let's see what else. There was a lot of dragon energy coming through, and I know that this is the year of the dragon, and that's been coming through a lot for a lot of people. I did have a really potent dream with it was a magenta plasma dragon. It was very large, according to... Oh, my butt just went very numb from where I'm sitting. So maybe someone here is like, one of their limbs is about to fall asleep. So maybe it's time to move your body a little bit. And yeah, you just keep hearing micro movements. So I'm really tuning in, just, my toes just cracked, like cracking your toes, rolling your wrists, your neck. Just like little checks throughout the day, just to make sure that your body is flowing. I heard growing. Flowing and growing. They do say like when our auric field grows, we can appear, like brighter, taller. So I think that is what was being referenced. And so yeah, this dragon was the size of, I would say, like 2 football fields. It was kind of floating in the sky, and I called it a plasma dragon because it was not physical. It like almost looked like liquid, like floating. and it had these like large, just round golden eyes, like yellowy gold, like dandelion marigold type of vibes. Marigolds could be significant for someone. I really wanted to go more into the plasma dragon because I've been wanting to talk about that experience for a while, but I actually I'm feeling guided to just mention it. And I think I will do like a whole separate thing with that because, and I just heard Lemuria, so that could be for someone too. And I heard Lemurian epoch. Yeah. I paused the audio and I just realized, I saw the number 444, and then I looked at the paper and saw 44 again. So that could be for someone. I just heard new foundations, new sensations. I'm just sitting to see if anything else wants to come through. The Hathor energy kept coming through, and now I'm seeing a cow, which often is represented from Hathor, and there's this oracle card in the animal oracle deck from, I can like see her name. I see Toni Collette, which she's an actress. It's not Toni Collette, but for some reason it reminds me of that name, so I don't know why Toni Collette is coming up. And it says the miracles are endless. And I wrote down milk and the feminine mother arc. So if anyone here is gotten into Lisa Renee or Ashayana Dean, there's something about connecting deeper with the mother arc. And for me, that always comes through in a like green and blue, like a turquoise color. Yeah, there's something about connecting into that aspect. And I keep hearing like the milk of the mother. And I was actually like craving milk. And I've been drinking moon milk. I usually use oat milk or coconut milk, whatever you feel connected to in terms of milk. But there's something about milk here. So if you're craving milk, whether it's dairy or non-dairy, whatever you're into, or so they, in case you're not familiar, in Ayurveda they drink moon milk. You can look up online what moon milk is, but it's essentially a milk added with a fat like coconut oil or butter and some sort of herb. So there's many things you can do with it. And there's, like I said, plenty of recipes online. But they say when you drink it before bed or whenever you need to wind down, it's supposed to help calm your nervous system. So someone here might be feeling a little bit overstimulated, like in the beginning when I was saying that there's like distractions, whether it's a happy overstimulation or sometimes a little bit draining or a little bit of both. There's something about really coming back to that center, and moon milk might be helpful for that. You might be connecting in with the Hathors or Hathor or both. I know that the Hathors are very connected to sound healing, so listening to sound frequencies in many forms can be helpful. If you're already doing that, I just heard deeper. So someone here might be like kind of slipping into a deeper, I just heard a horn for confirmation, might be slipping into like a deeper meditation than usual, and like you might be feeling a little bit nervous or a little bit scared. And I'm hearing it's like a cellular response. So like your mind might be like, yes, let's do this, but then your body might be like kind of jerking you out of it, or vice versa. So I'm just hearing to have patience with yourself and like little by little, just try and go a little bit deeper each time, because you're like rewriting your cellular responses to these experiences. I was talking before about like ending a cycle and ancestral karma, DNA clearing. And if you have gotten into epigenetics, the clearing through the bloodlines and the cellular memory, they say it's like 14 generations at least of Yeah, and you may be releasing through the throat as well. So I'm hearing, don't worry, like there's nothing wrong with you, and just continue having patience and showing up. And like I said, these sound frequencies might be of assistance. For some reason, I'm not being asked to go into specifics. So whoever's listening to this, there's just so much, on YouTube or online, or so many more people are gathering community. So if you want to find something in person, of course, or again, if you're already doing that, or maybe you yourself are, this is like very specific for someone, but if you yourself are like performing some sort of like musical expression, whether it's sound healing, singing, speaking, something like that, and you find yourself kind of like, I'm hearing the word like jerking, like, just like some of this fear coming up, again, with going deeper, or maybe you like really get into it. And now I'm seeing on Eurovision when they talk about the word just escaped me, but in Eurovision, if you've seen the movie with Rachel McAdams and why am I forgetting so many words here? Will Ferrell, and they talk about like finding that perfect chord from the heart. And I can't believe I can't remember this. That's okay. Maybe someone here can look it up and put it in the comments. And yeah, and please feel free to like share anything you'd like in the comments that has come up for you, or any questions that you have, and I can try and do my best to answer. And so, yeah, there's something about that, of allowing the fear to come up and just continue to tune into the heart, utilize the sound. And I'm hearing like, don't be afraid to be vulnerable. So if this happens, like kind of like work it in with whatever you are. I've been noticing it happen to me actually, and I'm trying my best to like not push it down, but to just embrace it and let it kind of express itself and move through it, instead of trying to like repress it down or pretend like it's not happening. And I'm honestly someone who has a huge, you know what? I'm going to rephrase that. I've been known to have a huge fear of like public speaking. And I am actively working on that because I'm doing this right now. So yeah, there's something about that too. Okay, that feels pretty complete. Thank you if you got this far for listening. And like I said, I keep seeing these little dandelion, I call them wishies, like fly by. This is like the second or third one I saw, and I love that it flew by right when I was ending the video. So I just heard like make a wish. I literally just heard Make-A-Wish Foundation, which I have not thought of in forever. So I don't know, maybe someone just like saw a commercial about that recently or something. But yeah, I just heard Make-A-Wish. Or, if you've made a wish in the past, I feel like either if you've made one in the past or you're about to make one, or both, there's something about like a surprise coming through, or something that you feel like has kind of been out of reach. I'm seeing 3, so like 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, something's about to like pop in. And I heard like in an English accent, like pleasantly surprised. So, and now I'm seeing Mrs. Doubtfire. All right. Well, again, thank you, and please feel free to share. As I was about to hit the end button, I saw 4848, and it's 7:07 on my clock, so 0707. Any of these can be relevant. Mirroring. Yeah, now I'm hearing the song Justin Timberlake. It's like you're my mirror. And there's something about going to sleep. I actually am setting an energetic vortex of like crystalline liquid light, and if you'd like to receive that, you can just say yes, and it's very protected. And I'm hearing 24 to 48 hours, like from when you hear this video, when you go to sleep, like tune into that, only if you accept it, of course, up to you, and when you're ready, and then you can sort of work with that energy. And I will at some point make another video explaining more about what that means. But I presume if you are interested, you will at least have some intuitive feeling about that. All right. Thank you.